Today, the Solemnity of Pentecost, we read the first reading of the day, which is Acts chapter 2 verses 1 to 19, commented by Father Patxi Loidi in the voice of Brother Carl Balaan. When the day of Pentecost arrived, they were all gathered in one place. Suddenly, there came from heaven a noise like a rushing gust of wind, which filled the entire house in which they were. Tongues like fire appeared to them and spread out and rested on each one of them. They were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in different languages, as the Spirit enabled them to express themselves. There were pious men residing in Jerusalem, coming from all the nations under heaven. When the noise occurred, the people gathered together and were filled with astonishment, because each one heard them speaking in their own language. Stupefied and amazed, they said, "Aren't all these who are speaking Galileans? For how do each of us hear them in our own native tongue? Parthians, Medes, and Elamites, we who live in Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, Egypt, the part of Libya bordering Cyrene, the Romans residing here, both the Jews and the proselytes, Cretans and Arabs, do hear them proclaiming in the languages the wonders of God?" Everyone was amazed and perplexed, and said to one another, "What does this mean?" Others, however, said laughing, "They are full of new wine." Then Peter, coming to the 11, raised his voice and said to them, "Jews and all who live in Jerusalem, let this be clear to you and pay attention to my words. These are not drunk as you suppose, because it is the third hour of the day. But it is what the prophet said. It will happen in the last days, says God. I will pour out my spirit on every mortal, and your sons and your daughters will prophesy. Your young people will see visions, and your old people will dream dreams. And also upon my male and female servants I will pour out my spirit, and I will do wonders in heaven above and signs on earth below." The word of the Lord. Commentary. Friends, what happened that day? What happened to those men and women, friends of Jesus, who were drunk with emotion? We can never know. Only those who have experienced the emotion of the Holy Spirit can guess anything about that great day. They were drunk, that's what people said. There were people from 1,000 places there. They were Jews from outside Palestine who had come to Jerusalem to celebrate the gift of the law given to Moses on Mount Sinai. And it was those very plural people who found themselves with men and women who were drunk from the very early on, drunk with the Holy Spirit. What a surprise! What an immense surprise! Disciples, men and women, have felt shaken by a loud noise and a strong wind. Then tongues of fire appeared above their heads. Its flames were the fire of the Spirit, and tongues, the gift of the Word. Not just any words, but the fiery words that are born of the Spirit. It was a fire of personal transformation and sending out on the universal mission of showing people Jesus and working for a just world. They couldn't do anything but to go out to the balcony and talk. Yes, talking, shouting, proclaiming to the four winds that something new has arrived, sent by Jesus. Peter reminded them with a quote from the prophet Joel. Know that your descendants will be prophets, your young men will have visions, your daughters will prophesy. Women and men of God who will transform the world, and thousands of people converted to the Christian faith. All the people who came to the place understood them, although they spoke different languages. It's not just a rare miracle occurred, but rather it is a literary way of telling us that the Christian faith is universal. It is not limited to one language or one culture. All languages and all cultures fit into it. It is an invincible inner force, like an impetuous wind, that pierces all barriers and penetrates to the heart. This is the great day of the Spirit of Christ, which we already receive in baptism, and it has to grow inside us like the wind, like the burning fire, like the living language that speaks from within. May we feel today the joy, enthusiasm, and the immense strength of the Spirit of Jesus and the Father to spread the faith and justice throughout the world. Prayer, wind and fire. And he dislocated them. He moved the tables and chairs, removed the foundations. They no longer knew where they were. That noise so formidable. Where did the wind come from? Asked a trembling voice, and no one responded. Where was he? Silence. And suddenly the fire, a burning fire above their heads. He set them on fire. He burned their hearts and brains. They know nothing about themselves anymore. Who we are, where we are, their insides have changed on the horizon. They no longer see only little Galilee, nor the lake of Gennesaret. Jerusalem is not enough for them, nor all the Palestine. The walls of the house have been broken, open to the four cardinal points, and before his sight the whole world. They are drunk, they are crazy, people said, who came curious to the place. And it was true. They were crazy and drunk of the wind from the peaks, from the fire of an unknown volcano. An irrepressible ambition have been born in them, and the desire to undertake the great madness to turn the world around.